be something that normal people would not think, but you would take a very different divergent route, right? So that is one thing. So please don't get upset or disappointed. That's what I've been telling a lot of these youngsters, because a CAT is something which is not in our control. So what you need to do is just focus on the exam, right? Be it 2 hours, be it 3 hours, it doesn't really matter. Okay. So if I can tell you now, 3 hours, 180 questions, then they brought it down 3 hours, 100 questions, right? So 80 questions are knocked off in the past 22, 23 years, right? So you can imagine how tough it must have been for us, right? And plus, remember, for you guys, you have the benefit of online exam. We didn't have it. It used to be those OMR sheets, where you take a pencil, black pencil, and you have to circle. And the circling only, you tend to waste a lot of time, because there is a certain way in which you need to circle it, black circle. It cannot be half. It cannot go out of the circle. So a part of your time goes into just doing that. But here you just need to click and your answer is there, right? So let's now try to understand the logic why they have done this. Why it is a 2-hour exam this time. So as you know, we are all undergoing a horrible time, probably the worst time, and let's hope this kind of time doesn't come back in our lives again. Now, see, if you keep it a 3-hour exam, what is going to happen is more number of students have to be accommodated in that particular center, right? And then when people are close to each other, there is always a problem of social distancing, right? So the reason now, the logic was, if you make it a 2-hour exam, so then we can bring lesser number of students, we can have more number of shifts and lesser number of students to come and write the exams, so you can space them out. So that is the main logic. So keeping your safety in mind, they have done this, okay? So please appreciate that fact. And about the number of questions, okay, still there's a dilemma. We really don't know. So it's a surprise. So you'll only get to know it when you take the test. So now there have been occasions where prospective students have asked me, sir, since we do not know what the pattern is going to be, I will drop CAT this year and I'll write next year. So what is the guarantee, that next year things may not change? So you should understand one thing, guys, okay? I'm sure you must be all in your maybe early 20s now, maybe late 19, 20, 21, 22, right? See, a time has come, and it's a fact of life, that whatever you want to achieve big in life, you have to achieve by the time you turn 35, 40. See, after 40, nobody wants you. So all your adventuring, all your, all kind of stuff you can do only only till the time you're 35, max 40. See, after that, what happens? You have to have a stable job, right? So you cannot really grow after that. So all the growth will stop after 40. So in a time like this, if you drop CAT, if you drop 1 year of your life and try next year, again, there is no guarantee that next year is going to work out better for you, right? So my sincere, advice would be, do not get disappointed. Do not get dismayed by what is happening. See, let CAT be there. See, your job is to go and crack it, right? So crack it. So whichever, be it 100 questions, be it 60 questions, be it 9, don't worry about that. Okay? Don't worry about that. Do your preparations well. We still have about a month, maybe less than a month now. This is the time when you have to go for the kill, what we call as the slog overs, right? Forget that you're alive. Forget that you have a family. Forget that there is a TV. Forget that there is, there are mobile games. Just forget everything and focus. And this last 1 month is going to make or break your career, okay? Right? Now, one more thing, people tend to ask me, like, sir, how many attempts of CAT should I take, right? So my answer is very, very simple. See, I always say the first attempt is the best attempt, right? Because what happens, afterward it gets a bit diluted, but still it is okay. If you want to try out CAT for the first time, then it is okay. But my advice would be, don't try to crack CAT more than 2 times, okay? More than twice doesn't really make sense, okay? It doesn't make sense. I'll tell you why. Because you're losing valuable years of your life. And once you suppose you get a call also, and on your 3rd or 4th attempt, you get a call from a good B school, it'll be very difficult for you to justify what you were doing after your graduation. You cannot sit and say that, but for 4 years, I was writing CAT, CAT. It doesn't cut well with the panelists, okay? So that is something which you guys will have to keep in mind, okay? Yeah. So now, let's talk about what is going to happen in the future, right? Now, people are using the term like post-COVID. Let me tell you, I don't see any hope of COVID ending immediately. See, India is doing pretty well now. As all of you know, most of you from Maharashtra, that Maharashtra was the worst hit. And now they've done a fantastic job now. They're able to now, the number of recoveries are actually beating the number of new cases, right? And just before this class, I was just checking up on the net. And I found that about 91% is the recovery rate of India, which is fabulous. Okay. But my cause of concern now is that a second wave has started in Europe. Countries like France, Spain, Italy, which were worst hit initially, then they were able to control it. And now a second wave has started. And now the scientists are saying probably it's a different strain of the virus. Okay. So now it is a reality. So the pandemic will become an endemic, which means it is not going to end. It's going to be there, right? It's going to become a flu, a normal flu or influenza that most of us go through, right? So now, so what happens to the world or the business world? Are businesses going to shut down? No, it cannot shut down. Okay, businesses cannot shut down. Okay. So why was the lockdown imposed? Because there was a belief that if you have a lockdown, right, for a certain number of days, you can contain the virus. But the deeper understanding which I have, my analysis says is that why the lockdown was imposed when India had only 500 active cases. I think, what the government was trying to do, they was trying to build up the medical infrastructure, because we were not in a position to handle a wave of so many patients, coming to the hospital with this COVID. So I think what the government did was during that period, of the 21 days, or I think followed by another 15 days, whatever, before the unlock started, I think the government was trying to build up the medical infrastructure, training all these nurses and doctors, because nobody knew how to handle it. But today, I think after 7-8 months, I think now the doctors are in a better position to understand at least how to handle it. Even if you can't cure it directly or you can't prevent it, at least, once the patient comes to you, how do you handle it? So that much of knowledge has been, I think, obtained, right? So now I don't see any chance of another lockdown. So I don't think it's going to happen, because businesses have suffered, no doubt about that. But trust me, see, you guys, in case, let's say you crack the CAT or maybe one of those entrance exams with other B schools, and you get into a good B school. So you join into 2021, right? And you'll pass out in 2023. So by 2023, I'm sure the pandemic will go. Okay, at least it will not be as serious as it is. A vaccine might come, cure might come, because if you guys have been reading, you will know that 100 years back, maybe in 1918 also, we had a similar kind of a situation where there was a Spanish flu, which swept across the entire world and killing millions. So I think it was contained. It took about 3 years to contain the entire virus, right? So we are now in 2020. So I'm talking of the year 2023. See, once the virus is kind of controlled, I'm sure the business is going to bounce back in a great way. And there will be a lot of need for management graduates. So the beauty of an MBA is that, you can relate this MBA to any kind of graduation that you have done. Barring a few, maybe, maybe I'll not be able to connect, but still you can do it. For example, something as diverse, as let's say liberal arts. So how do you connect liberal arts with management, right? That could be a very good question. See, like in Wellinger, we offer a course called as a PGDM in business design. So that is where we need creative mindsets, So how do you do process design? Product design is not something we would directly do, but yes, process design is something that we are very much into. How do you redesign an entire process? How do you reimagine a business, So the world is going digital, right? So today you can find that MBAs can be related to most of the graduations that people are doing, right? So I hope this small talk that I gave you on the kind of, on CAT, the vagaries of CAT, like you will not be able to predict what kind of pattern is going to come. I hope it did boost you, right? So please don't drop it. If you have applied for CAT, please write it, okay? And do it with a full sincere effort. And remember, you're not the only one who are facing it. Every other student who's going to write the CAT is going to be in this dilemma. You're not the only one. And the other beauty of CAT is after writing the exam also, you will not know where you stand, right? You may have done fantastic, you may have done very bad, but still you don't know how exactly you have done, because it is all, it's all like comparative, right? It's all relational scores, right? It's relative scores, percentiles, right? So then the other things, some other things which are very important that have come up now, MBA and the COVID. See, if you remember about 4 years back, right? On 8th November 2016, our PM came on television at 8 p.m. and he made an announcement, right? It was the announcement for demonetization, right? So he said that from from the midnight, your rupees 500 and 1,000 rupees, those currency notes will not be valid anymore, right? They were demonetized. But see, what has happened out of it, okay? So you forget the purpose behind it. Let's say, was it useful? Let's not get into the debate at all. But see, one great thing that has happened is India has embraced what you call as digital payments, right? So because of this what you call as demonetization, your debit card, credit card, UPI, your wallets, Paytm, PhonePe, all these things became so popular. And the best thing is that they still continue to be very popular, right? So people don't prefer to carry cash now. You go to the metro, you go to, you go anywhere. Yeah, today everyone is accepting digital payment, which is a fabulous thing that has happened to the country. Okay, because if you can really give this digital boost, there'll be a lot of, what you call as the control on corruption. There'll be a lot of control on fake currency, on pickpocketing, a lot of things, a lot of things can be handled. So what I'm now seeing is, which is very important, has become very important, is the ability to be virtual and still deliver. That is something which has become very, very important. Now look at us. See, we belong to the old school, where it was always a chalk and talk. We had a blackboard or a whiteboard. We take sessions. Of course, we use PPTs, we use videos, we use a lot of study material. But then we are always in a physical class when we take a class, right? That is how we have been doing for the past several decades. And suddenly this pandemic comes and a lockdown comes, right? And in my own experience, I had done a series of webinars for IBM in 2015. But they were very different kind of webinars. There was no video, it was only audio based, and we don't have any of the features that we get now. It was plain one-way kind of a discussion. Okay. And then suddenly when the lockdown happened, we all ran home because everything was closed. But then we took a conscious call that we will not mess up with the students' careers, because like I said, years are very important. So then all of us got into the mold of online teaching. Now, many of us were not comfortable, right? Because it is a very new medium of instruction, right? So what we did was, in fact, it was something that had really helped us. For the GDPI round of Bangalore, we couldn't hold it physically. We had done in Calcutta, we finished in Delhi, we finished in Mumbai 2 rounds. And Bangalore was planned sometime in the first week of April, but we couldn't do it physically. So what we did was, we did the entire GDPI of Bangalore in an online mode using Zoom. And that is where we got that confidence that yes, we can do it. And then from there, we moved to some refresher classes for our junior students. And now classes are going full-fledged, and every one of us, trust me, each and every one of the faculty, irrespective of age, irrespective of technical, flair, everyone is so comfortable now using classes and taking classes online. We use the WebEx platform by Cisco. Okay. So what has become important is that you should be able to deliver, and you have to be very good, or you have to display very good flair in technology. So when I say technology, see, I'm not asking you to develop technology. Okay, that is not required. You're not going to code and create technology. But what has become important is that you should know where to apply what kind of technology. So today, a lot of the edutech companies are booming. They have boomed in this COVID times. Fintech companies have boomed. So like this, I'm sure, okay, the world is going to go more and more digital now. So you should be ready to be able to, kind of work in this kind of digital sphere, and should be able to deliver as well. Okay, so these were some of my thoughts, right? Something which are very important, but they're really important, right? But these things will come later. Now you focus on the CAT, and as soon as CAT is over, even if you think you have not done well, you never know, right? So don't just give up. Start preparing for the GDPI, because they are also very tough round, because cracking CAT is only one part of the story. The bigger challenge comes when you meet face to face, or maybe in the virtual mode when you have the GDPI, which can be really, really tough. Okay. So more about that later. Probably I can, talk with Ketan, and we can have a session on that later once CAT is over. But my request to all of you guys, please do not, give up now. You have been fighting for it for some time now. So continue the fight. Just about a month more, I'm sure you can do it. Okay. And then what happens if your CAT score is not really that good? See, you should not depend on only one exam. Okay. See, a lot of other exams are also there. For example, ATMA test is there. Then we have the XAT. So try to give a few more examinations, okay, a few more of these tests. And then many institutes, they accept multiple score. For example, we do that. Okay, in Wellinger, we accept multiple kind of scores from multiple examinations. So like that, many other institutes also accept them, right? So do not stop at the IIM, because remember, after a few years, it doesn't really matter from which institute you have done your MBA. What is going to matter is how you perform at your work. So that is a different ball game altogether. Okay. So more of that later. So I think, Ketan, I have finished my talk on what is going to happen. If students have questions, probably you can call it and you can ask me and I'll answer. That's a better way of answering, I think.
Right. So guys, the chat box is actually open for you all. You all can start putting in your questions across. Precisely connected to the whatever Sir has said, and not with respect to DILR and verbal strategies. So I'm very sure that Sir can take those questions also. Why does CAT don't take tests in multiple slots now? The way it used to happen earlier, 13, 40, like 10 slots and 11 slots.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But Sir, I'll give you a very good question, by the way. This can help a lot. How to control your emotional quotient while you write CAT? That's the major problem for a lot of people.
Fantastic, guys. I love that question. Okay. Thank you for whoever asked this question. Hats off to you. You have not written the CAT, but I'll tell you what is going to happen. Okay, let me share my experience. Okay, it's fun. It's really fun. See, when I was practicing, like I said, from 9 to 1 in the night. So in my room, there was nobody else, right? So I would switch on the fan, and I was in Delhi at that time. I didn't have an AC in my house. So I used to have a fan, absolute silence, and nobody was supposed to disturb me. That is how I used to work. So I had a big table. So I used to open my watch like this, keep it on the side, and then I have multiple papers around. And, I used to just have the big table and I used to work on that. Okay. That's how I practiced for CAT. Now, on the day of my CAT, I still remember the date. It was on the 8th of December, 1996. Okay. Now, I had to travel by auto to my center. And unfortunately, that was one of the coldest days which Delhi had faced. And I think the temperature had come down to 2.8 degrees. Okay. And once I went there, it was freezing cold because some cold winds are coming in from Afghanistan or whatever. And everyone were actually in that brr kind of a mood. Then I was thinking, how lucky people in South India, because South India doesn't face a kind of winters and all. Probably they'll get a better deal than us. It was really bad. Okay. In fact, I remember there was one chai wala who had come there and he sold out his chai within minutes his chai got sold because it was so cold. But this guy was very smart and he was a very good entrepreneur, or he had that kind of an idea. So what he did was he was charging 5 rupees from everybody to go and warm the hands. Okay, the coal was there, the burning coal. So we had to pay him 5 rupees and he would give us 5 minutes to go and stand in front of the coal and, because hands are completely frozen. Okay, in that state, we went into the exam hall. And guys, when I went inside, you're talking of EQ, what was the disappointment? I'll tell you. There was no table for us. Okay. In many colleges, they have the flap kind of chair where you sit and there's a flap. The flap closes, that becomes a chair. So where I was used to a big table, now I've got a small place. So I didn't have a place to keep my watch. And you know what I did? I actually went and sat on the floor. Okay. I sat on the floor. I said, I cannot sit on this chair because I'm a bit bulky. This chair is not for my side. Please allow me to sit on the floor. I sat on the floor and I wrote the exam. Okay.
Wow.
Then how did I control my EQ, right? Obviously, See, now let me try to answer your question. That was my experience. Okay, I sat on the floor and I wrote the CAT. So that is something which is very, very close to my heart. Okay, yeah. So now, see, like I said, there will be a lot of questions in your mind. Okay, so the kind of questions, will I be able to crack? When you look at a lot of other faces, some people will be beaming, some will be more tense than you, right? So the best way to control your emotions, I'll tell you. Okay. See, one day before the CAT, please get a good night's sleep. Okay, please, that is very, very important. Because last minute, don't try to cram in too many things. It's not going to help you at all. And the more you try to cram in, whatever is there will also go out, right? So try to get a very good night's sleep, minimum 8 hours you get. Relax in the evening before the CAT, okay? Which means you can watch a movie, or maybe if you want, you can watch some Govinda, some nonsense movie you can watch, some kind of stupid movie you watch. But just, keep your mind very, very fresh and happy. That is something which you need to do. And don't think too much about it, because remember, it's a competitive exam, right? And your life didn't begin with CAT, it won't end with CAT also, right? Yeah. So that is something which you need to internalize, right? You say, you give your best shot, and then the rest you leave to fate. You never know, right? Like I said, you may write CAT and you don't know how you are placed. You look at everyone's face and you cannot even understand how others have written, because it is such a relative exam it is, right? Yeah. So that is one way you have to control yourself. So get a good night's sleep. And the evening before the CAT, do not touch your books. Just leave everything and ensure, okay, remember, ensure that everything is ready with you. Okay. For example, you may have to carry some, I don't know, okay. They may ask you to carry this hall ticket or the ID, whatever, So those kind of things, you'll be very, very careful, because sometimes, what happens, there are people in that hurry, they forget these things, right? You go all the way to the exam hall and you don't have your ID card, and then they'll chuck you out. It's as simple as that. Okay. So just relax. Okay. That is the best way to write the CAT, crack the CAT, because questions can come from anywhere. If you look at the RC, the reading comprehension, you're going to use certain words which you might never heard also. And when you read also, see, remember, when you read also, remember, this is very important, okay? There's something which you have to develop over the years. I mean, it is not something I can tell you and you can do immediately, but try it. When you read a book or something, right, or a passage you read, do not read word by word. Try to finish that entire line in one sweep of the eye. And that is something which probably, our generation was good at, because we used to read a lot of books, we used to really read a lot, which I even do now also. So today I can finish a book much faster than a lot of the younger generation, because, I don't read word by word. In one sweep, I can read the line and I can comprehend what the line is trying to tell me. Okay. So that is something which you have to develop. Okay. So try to read as much as possible now. And that's just about it. Okay. I think it's not a big deal. Come on, guys. Yeah, it's okay. And your life didn't start with CAT, right? It won't end with that also. Don't worry about that. Yeah. Then.
Thank you so much, Ras. Sir, thank you so much for clearing this. One question that I think every CAT aspirant has in his or her mind today is that, so sir, that, in India, we have this methodology or mindset that we have to rank B schools, right? There are certain B schools, though they are not ranked in top 10, but they are doing fabulous job. So from the youngsters' perspective, those who are in now their 20s or let's say 25, 26 years old with a couple of years of work experience, so what do you think in the long run, when these guys are like 10 years down the line, right from now, does the brand really matter?
It doesn't. I already clarified this. See, initially it is going to matter, okay? Because I'll tell you how the placements work, See, if you're a good B school, right? Then let's say there's a B school and a company has come to recruit, and they've taken 3 students. Right? And these students have done very well. And then what happens, the word spreads. It's a good college, good students, and then next year they will come. And based on that strength, you can now invite other colleges to come. I'll give you what is our example in Bangalore, okay? I mean, probably that will help us. See, we are a very new B school, okay, in Bangalore. In fact, the campus right now, what we have here is only 12 years old. It started in 2008, but then we have one more city office. It started in 2004, just 16 years. Wellington Mumbai is more than 43 years old, okay? It started in 1977. Now, of course, therefore, Wellington Mumbai is better known because they've been there for so many years, right? Decades they have been there. Now, for us, what happens, see, like, we have done so well. I mean, I'm not boasting, but that's a fact. We have a regular recruiters, for example, Infosys and ICICI Bank, and just name mostly the techies that come here. Apart from that, we also have a lot from the FMCG, from the banking industry and all that. So on an average, I think year on year, we have been able to place between 95 to 96% of the students. Okay. Now, why 4%? I tell you, this 4% cannot be placed. Okay. It's not that they don't get chances. Some of them end up having 20, 22 rounds of interviews, but still they're not able to crack it. So that is something which is we can't help. And I'm very proud to announce here, in fact, yesterday morning only we got the news that we have been ranked the 3rd best B school in Bangalore. Okay. Right. And that is an achievement for us, because first is IIM Bangalore. And second, we have Narsi Monji in Bangalore, and third is Wellington. And that is a great achievement for us, because there are other good colleges in Bangalore also, like Christ is one of them. It's a very old, very renowned college. We have Alliance here, but we've been able to beat all of them, and we have been able to take the 3rd position in Bangalore. Okay. So now what happens is, because of all this, the more recruiters will come to us. But at the end of the day, what is really going to matter is how you perform in your job. So after a few years, it doesn't really matter from which college you have come in on. Okay. And that's a fact. Trust me, it doesn't really matter. Because it is all going to depend on your performance. And one more thing you guys need to remember this, which I want to tell you at this point. See, placements don't happen because you've joined a B school or you're going to get an MBA degree. It's something which you have to earn, okay? And how do you earn? You have to prove that you are better than the rest of your batch, right? Because companies have got very, very strict filtering mechanisms, right? So if they say they come to a campus and say, I'm going to recruit only 3 persons, they will choose the best 3 that they can get, okay? So many of these people, they have the delusion, and I mean it. They have the delusion that the moment I join an MBA, I'm going to walk out with a 10, 20, 30 lakh package and all that. It doesn't work that way, guys. Okay. It just doesn't work like that. You have to earn that money, and it is not going to be easy. Okay. So many companies have pooled campuses, which means what? Some of the top, like in Bangalore, usually it is always a mix of Symbiosis, Wellinger, and Christ, and Alliance maybe. These 4 colleges, they're going to pool together. In other cases, they come to our campus only. Okay. So keep that in mind. The money comes only when you prove yourself. Okay. And then once you join, you have to continue proving yourself in your work. Right? Yeah.
Sir, one question from my side.
Yeah. Go
on. Sir, in India, education has been looked at as a cost, not the investment.
Okay.
What happens, generally kids look at and their parents look at as a return on investment. So let's just say if I'm paying 20 lakhs to a college and 10 lakhs is the average fees, then it's a 50%. So do you really think this should be taken this way, or it should be like it's an investment which is going to pay you long term? What's your take on this?
Okay. Good. You're asking me a very, very good question. Okay. It's a very valid question. Remember, okay. So this is not a fixed deposit, okay, where you invest X and you get 1.5X, 0.8X. It doesn't work like that. Remember, guys, MBA is not a job. It is a career. Okay. It's a career. Today, if you spend 20 lakhs on yourself, right, the recovery will not happen overnight. It is not like, I pay 20 lakhs and 1 year I get back 20 lakhs and then I'm done. It doesn't work like that. That is not the way to look at it. There is no concept of ROI here, okay? The return on investment, if you want to see it, it has to happen over the years. So you have to measure it in terms of how are you growing year on year. Okay, you cannot do it only on salary basis. Remember, I understand money is important, but see, many times what happens, there are many foolish students who have rejected job offers because the salary was slightly low, but the profile was fantastic. Okay? So I always tell them, guys, at your age, when you're walking out of the college, you don't have liabilities in life, right? You're not married, you don't have kids, you don't have to worry about their education, you be free, like a free bird. Go wherever life takes you. Go to any city. Work for 5 years, work just slog yourself out. And the learning will be fabulous. And once you're settled down, then you can see after 5 years, you command. Okay. So now you can't command. But after 5 years, you can command. You can decide which city you want to be in, and you will get it. But that is all going to come as a result of the performance that you show. Okay. So this ROI concept just doesn't work. Okay. That's a very, very foolish way of looking at it. It's not then if you're so worried, I would say if you have the 10 lakhs, 20 lakhs, put it in a bank, or put it in the share market and see what happens. You cannot relate it to the salary directly like that.
Right. Thank you so much for clearing that air, sir, because a lot of students run after this ROI thing, which I am definitely against. And thank you so much, really appreciate for clearing that. And when it comes from the horse's mouth, when it comes from an experience like you, it means a lot. Now, we have certain students talking about, this is a very good question, I also liked it, about the e-business that we conduct in Wellinger, and how e-business look like, for the next 5-10 years, sir. Can you give some light on it?
Okay, yeah, sure. I can throw some light on that. See, when I say e-business, right? So e-business is not e-commerce. E-commerce is a part of e-business. Okay, so many people have this kind of a misconception. So the way the e-business is defined, the term was coined by IBM. E-business, the term was coined by IBM, and it was the market research group Gartner that gave it the meaning. It said that any kind of digital intervention in a business is e-business. Okay. So now just look at this. See, today edutech, fintech companies are doing so well. So what are they doing? They are implementing digital into the business. So when I say digital, I'm talking about completely reimagining your own business, right? So we can talk. I can actually take a full class on this, but probably time will not permit. But you should understand one thing, guys. See, today, like I mentioned during my talk, the technology has become a very, very integral part of business today. These two cannot be separated. Okay. Earlier, tech was a support function, but probably today tech is much, much more than that. It is more of a kind of it gives you a competitive advantage today, right? So today, if you look at it, there are a lot of examples of, there are different kind of things that companies are trying to do, building digital into their offering so that, you have a better customer experience. We call it as a CX, customer experience, right? So e-business course will not teach you how to code, definitely not. It will not teach you how to become a database administrator, no. But what it is going to do is it's going to help you to understand what are the things that may be required. For example, let's say you want to work in an IT company as a business analyst. Now, that is one of the things that we really look forward to. Or if you want to look at something in the areas of IT governance, IT risk, IT, we call it as GRC, IT governance, IT risk, IT compliance, right? Then how do you handle IT projects? Then what are the kind of emerging technologies that you should be aware of? So these are the kind of things that we teach our students. But it's a very unique course. Okay, let me remind you. See, many MBA courses, they have a specialization in systems. But again, it comes back to, again, one programming language like maybe a C or a C++ or a Java. Then they'll have something on database, something on computer network. But these things are not required here. We are looking at the pure application of technology into business. And that is where e-business comes in. And I'm telling you, the placements have been fabulous for us. And the beauty, I'll give you an example. I like to boast about this. We had a student, he came from a BCom background, okay? Zero experience in technology. He knew nothing about technology. But somewhere down the line, as we was going through the course, he started taking a lot of interest in RPA, robotic process automation. And then he said, let me try my hand at trying to create a chatbot. And he actually created a chatbot. Okay, he called it as Elysium, a beautiful chatbot he's created. But if we have not implemented this, he's still working on that. He said he'll gift it to the campus. It is something to do with the student queries that come online. And today, the same guy I'm talking about, he got placed in IBM. Look at this. IBM is a pure tech company. This guy has zero experience in IT. He gets placed into IBM. And today he's leading the digital, in one division, he's leading the digital initiative. And he's doing so well. In the last 6 months, he got 2 promotions. Okay. So he's my star student, my pet student, you can say that, right? So that is where e-business comes in. So the beauty is that it is open to anybody, but the only requirement that we have is that you should have a flair for technology, okay? You should not be scared of technology. If you're scared of technology, that may not be the course for you. But today, in any kind of business, you need technology, right? Be it finance or marketing or HR or operations, you cannot do without technology, right? Yeah. Okay. Next.
Sir, can you throw some light on the profile building as far as the profile of a candidate is concerned, and how much does it really matter as far as the B schools are concerned?
See, what happens, I'll tell you. See, earlier, maybe during our days, okay, like in my class, I think 97% of us were engineers, okay. So in those days, there was a preference. It's a fact, there was a preference for engineers. So that was a natural shift, to do your engineering and then jump into management, right? But over the years, we're seeing a massive change now. Today, all colleges are talking about diversity, right? They say we want people with diverse backgrounds and not only restricted to engineers, right? So today, like for example, we've had students with a pharma background. We have a student who's a lawyer, okay? A student who was a chartered accountant, then somebody who comes with a biotech background, right? So that is very, very important, okay? So please keep that in mind, that today engineers are not, like they don't get any extra advantage, right? They don't get the extra advantage. That is point number 1. Point number 2 is, what about work experience? Now, that is always a dicey issue. See, personally, if you ask me, since I did it like that, after working for some years, I did my management, right? So the advantage which I got was that, see, when I worked in the industry, I've seen the corporate life, okay? I've seen what happens and I understand a lot of things. At least if I don't understand, I see a lot of things, okay? So when teachers are teaching me in the class, professor talking about certain concepts, I can easily relate to, this is what had happened in my organization. So that maturity was there to understand what the prof is talking about. So that way, if you have the work experience, you can connect much better to what is happening in the class. Okay, that is very, 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 that's something very good. Like when I was working in the power plant industry, see, my zone was very small, okay, like a frog in a well. Okay, this is one small part of the work I was looking into, purely technical work. Okay, I had no contact with customers or something. My work was only related to the technical side. But the moment I joined and did my PGDM from IIM Calcutta, see, the great thing that happened was, my eyes, this thing opened out, in the sense that I could now look at a business holistically, which means what? Now it is no more small fragments of the business. I can see from like a bird's eye view of the entire business I can get. And that was the greatest takeaway for me, right? So now coming back to experience, zero experience, there are 2 schools of thought. See, one school of thought says that yes, minimum 2 years work experience is required, okay? And they are very insistent on that. In fact, we have a process on 3rd of November in our campus. Of course, it will going to be virtual, but they made it very clear that minimum they want 24 months of experience. But the other side of the story is there are companies who come and say, we want pure freshers. right? Like last 2 years back, it happened. A certain company came to the campus, and see, we as faculty, we also make our predictions, that yeah, this guy will make it, this guy will make it. But unfortunately or fortunately, none of the students whom we thought would make it made it. And then when we compared, we saw that, oh my God, the absolute freshers are the ones who made it, but these guys had more than 3 years of work experience. Therefore, they were rejected. So see, it doesn't really matter, okay? But if a company is very specific that we want people with experience, we can't do anything about it. But today, many companies come and say that we want absolute freshers, because see, what happens, when you're a fresher, you're still very fresh, very raw, okay? And then you can be molded. It's like catch them young, mold them, and watch them grow. But if a person comes with, let's say, 5-6 years of work experience, we have a problem, because we call it as a baggage. They have to unlearn and then relearn, okay, which becomes a big problem. So many companies don't want that to happen, because they don't want to waste the time in making the person unlearn what he has learned and then relearn again. Okay. So there are always two schools of thought. So again, don't worry about that. Okay. It is not that freshers have never got a job or experienced people have never got a job. It always eventually it all balances out. Yeah. Yeah, Ketan, anything else?
Yeah, so the last question for the day, probably now these days, when you are actually heading for any sort of target, like for the kids right now, the target is get into CAT. But there are 99 negative things that happens in a day, and there is only one thing that probably can motivate them. So students want to know, you've come a long way if you've achieved extraordinarily things on your profile. How you keep yourself motivated, sir, on a every single day basis? What's your motivation?
What's my motivation? Well, I don't want to get too personal at this point in time. But see, it's something like, I'm a very, let's say, a person who believes that work is worship. Okay. So it is a work that keeps me going, It's because today also, now it is 8 o'clock. So tomorrow also I have a couple of sessions. So once I go back home, I'm going to sit and think of tomorrow's session. Okay. So work is what keeps me inspired, because, I think I'll never be able to retire. I cannot keep quiet. I'm not a person who can laze for more than 5 minutes, by doing nothing. I mean, I cannot watch TV. Even if I watch TV also, my mind will be somewhere else. So probably work is something, that keeps me motivated and makes me get through my day. So in your case, guys, for the next 1 month, it should be only CAT. Don't think of anything else. Just get into the CAT race now. That's all. Okay. Just give your best shot. Believe that you can do it. See, unless you believe that you can do it, nobody else will believe that you can do it. Okay.
Right.
So have confidence in yourself first. You have come this far, right? For the past few months, you have been doing this, right? And I'm sure if you look at what you were at the beginning and what you are now, there would be a sea change, right? A drastic change would have happened in you. You must be much better at English. You are very good at time management now. So a lot of things you have learned now. Okay. And rest you leave on fate now, because like I said, now you cannot answer all the questions. Okay. Yeah. Yes, Ketan, anything else?
No, sir. I think that's it from our side. If you have anything that you want to kind of throw some light on, or any kind of closing message you want to give to all the kids out here.
Yeah, the kids, they are kids. I think there are more than 250 kids, 263 I can see here. So around 260 I would expect.
263, right.
Yeah. So guys, do it. Okay, just do it. I've seen Nike ad, right? There's a tick mark. It says just do it. Just do it. That's all. Okay. Don't look left, right, up, down, and all that. You are you, and nobody can replace you, right? And sometimes you should feel very proud of yourself, that you are you. Nobody can beat you. Nobody can be like you. Okay. You can do it. Have confidence. Have faith in yourself. Step up the effort. And I'm sure you can go places. And even if it is not an IIM also, it doesn't matter. Like I said, there are always, second rung colleges. But again, don't go too much down the line. It's like, I'm desperate to do an MBA. So I'll go to some rural place in some rural, maybe I should not talk like that. But yeah, I mean, don't take those kind of colleges. Like don't be so desperate also that, whatever I get, I will take. No. You should have a balancing kind of filtration mechanism as well. But yeah, there are good B schools apart from the IIMs as well. Okay. So keep that in mind. Okay. So I think that's all from my side. So wish you all the best. And I'm sure most of you will do very well. So just keep smiling, and that's it. Okay. Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir, from bottom of my heart, and a lot of love and respect from me and my kids, from the entire CDC Mentors family. The session was amazing, and we've learned a lot. Even I today learned a lot from you, sir. So thank you so very much, sir. And we would love to have you on board, once JDPR calls and
Yeah, sure, welcome. Yeah. We can you can talk to Shiva here, and we can definitely come. Like, it would be a pleasure to meet all of you. Because see, the other thing which the question was, what keeps me going? I think it's the youngsters who keep us going. Okay. See, I'm on the wrong side of 50. Okay. But I still feel very young because, it is a pleasure for me to connect with the students and all that. Trying to understand the lingo, the way they talk, the way they behave, try to, make sense of what they're saying. It is actually a lot of fun. Okay. So thanks for being what you are, youngsters. Okay. So good luck.
Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot. Have a good one, sir. Bye-bye, sir. Bye-bye.
Yeah. Bye-bye.